welcome to the Akwaaba podcast. As you know, I'm your host, Doma, and today we have a very, very amazing individual with us. Today we'll be talking about everything building, right? Building in Africa. What does it mean? If you want to build in Ghana, if you're a Ghanaian who is looking forward to building, what are some of the challenges? How do you overcome these challenges? If you're diasporan, all the things you need to know about acquiring your lands and your building and etc. 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 So I'm not going to talk much, right? Because today all the talking belongs to our guest. And I won't say Pim because he has all the info, right? And he's a very, very intelligent individual, super smart, very knowledgeable about the space that we are going to talk about today. So today we have the founder of the Africa Building Hub, Mr.
Frank?
Awesome. A full name. Also, don't mention full name.
No
No
problem.
problem. All right. So Frank does what I said, right? Basically everything about building in Ghana across the continent of Africa. If you're an African or if you're a diasporan or whatever, right? All the things that you need to know about it. So today I just want to dive straight into our conversation. I would say that do you believe that our generation, right, are into building than our the generation that was before us, or you think this generation are into renting?
I think this generation is into building,
Okay.
but we also have a significant number of people that are looking at rentals. And then we have a significant number of people who are also thinking about leaving the country.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait. I think my next question for you right now is that do you think it's easier for us to build now than it was for our parents to build? Or was it easier then than it is now? Or do you think it's even going to be more difficult in the future or easier in the future?
This question is a very layered question,
Yes, very
right?
layered.
So
Hey, I didn't even allow you to even relax.
let's talk. I like the question. So
Okay.
if I look at my dad as an example, he took, let's say, 10 years to complete his building. I have uncles who took maybe 10 years to 12 years to complete. They started building bit by
Bit
bit.
by bit, yeah.
And I think that in every generation, they have their own peculiar challenges. We could see a bag of cement was like 30 cedis in 2017, 2018.
How much?
30 cedis.
30 cities.
Today, a bag of cement is 120 cedis.
Interesting.
Yes. We will see it as expensive, but 2017 was kind of expensive. Everybody was complaining that cement was expensive.
Yeah, that's
If they
very
had
true.
seen where it would be, and I'm also thinking today we are complaining that 120 cedis is high. If we can see 10 years from now, it could be 1,000 Ghana cedis, right? So every generation has their own economic challenges, what the salary levels, levels are, right? Which determine their purchasing power, their spending power, and all that. I think this generation, we are positioned in the best time ever. Yeah, with technology and everything, we don't really have an
Really?
excuse for failure. Look, previously, if you needed information, you needed to go to school, you needed to go to the universities. This generation doesn't need to go to school.
No, that's true to an
Right.
extent.
So we have like great opportunities than our parents and grandparents did. And so that kind of information, like availability, makes it easy for anybody to go into building and to complete something. For us at Africa Building Hub, we are looking at demystifying the whole building process. What we observed based on analytics was that a lot of people who watch our videos between 35 to 70.
Okay.
So the younger generation are not interested. And
It's not like
so,
we're not interested. We just feel like it's so far-fetched.
yes,
Like
and
it's
it's
not
so
possible.
expensive
Yeah.
and it's a dream that is
Yeah.
unattainable, right? But that's why we are specialized in letting young people especially know that you can build a house by age 25 and
Ah.
move in. And you see, when people think of
Today's
a house,
conversation is like I want to beat him as he's talking, but you don't worry, let him land.
when people think of a house, they're usually thinking of a huge mansion. A 5-bedroom house. For like when I ask you what picture of a house do you have in mind, you ask looking at some boxy design with some lights and some
like a nice place, 3 bedroom, 4 bedroom.
with
Nothing
some
too
nice
fancy. With my pavemented ground, with my
exactly. There's some
grass.
lawn somewhere, there's some
Okay.
swimming pool in the corner,
Yeah.
some basketball court. That's the idea many people have. But what's a house?
Where you sleep.
That's all. Right. If you look at Maslow's theory of needs, a human being has basic levels of needs. We have like the ground physiological needs, the things you need to survive. What you eat, what you drink, to breathe, wear clothes, and sleep. Now, where you sleep is just a small space in a corner of a room. I don't know anybody who sleeps in 2 rooms at once. Right. And so if you are looking at building a house to sleep in, which by the way, a lot of people don't even spend time in their homes.
Okay, you right now what you've said, right? What is the simplest house that someone can build that you have in mind?
A 1 bedroom.
What's a 1 bedroom? What's your kitchen?
So right now we are in a space.
Okay.
This space I'm guessing is a 1 bedroom.
Okay.
Right. And it has a kitchen.
Yeah.
You could
It
have
has a
a
sitting
studio
room.
kind of setup, right? Have your bedroom in this corner, your living area here, your kitchen, and then a small place to bath
But you're
and all
talking
that.
about the building, you're not even talking about the land. You see, all those things come into consideration.
Yes. Again, what I see is many people, especially in Ghana, right, want to live in the urban areas, Accra especially.
But that's why you have access to your work.
Again, that's why I started by saying this generation we are in the best time ever. You
Okay.
don't necessarily need to be in Accra to work. And one thing I've seen is a lot of people are going for remote jobs. And I know someone who is living at a place called Ashifla, Mampihin. It's
In
very far.
in Ghana.
Yes, in Ghana, in the eastern region,
Okay.
surrounded by bushes.
Uh-huh.
He has his solar panels. He's completely off grid. And then
Okay.
he has his Starlink and all that. He works remotely. And then he also does consultations and stuff. He doesn't need to be in Accra.
Okay.
So
That's a
we,
good
we
argument.
we are helping people to understand that even if you want to live in Accra where the opportunities are, we're also speaking truth to power to government. That if you fix railway lines, you make roads and give access to people to be able to transport
That's very
themselves.
true.
I can live at Kaswa and work at Tema and move using a train in 30 minutes from Kaswa to Tema. And so I don't need to live in Accra.
Yeah.
You understand? So
Yeah.
if we fix our countries, we fix Ghana especially, it's going to open up opportunities for business, for education, for people to build anywhere. Now, the reason why I use the Kaswa and Tema example is as you move further away from the main urban areas, land is cheap, very cheap. With as low as $100, $200, you can buy land.
Wait.
What costs around $1,000, you get a good land.
Really?
Yes,
I'm trying to convert, right? I'm trying to convert. Okay, so $200. I don't even know what the rate
like
of
3,000 cities.
like 3,000 cedis
Yes,
land in
yes,
Ghana.
yes.
Okay.
Good. Now, if that may be a bit far-fetched, the same friend I spoke about who I went to visit, I have that same like interview on my YouTube channel. He bought the land for 10,000 Ghana cedis. Today, 10,000 Ghana cedis is less than $1,000. They are still selling lands in that area for 15,000 cedis, which is 1,000 Ghana cedis. It is 1 hour, maybe 30 minutes drive from here,
From Accra.
from where we are.
Okay.
If
That's because
you,
it's Eastern region. Eastern
yes,
region is
if
close.
you
Okay.
live around Pokwasi, etc., it's like 40 to an hour away from Pokwasi. Right. If you're at Insawam, it's like 30 minutes away. And 30 minutes away from Insawam, you are getting land for less than $1,000. You can buy 4 of them. Do an ecotourism something over there. Recently, he started a washing bay, a solar-powered washing bay. He bought 10 plots of land because the land is so cheap. You are in Accra, you want to live in East Legon Hills. East Legon Hills is selling for $100,000, $70,000
Yeah.
per plot. He has decided that no, he won't do that. He's going to buy 10 plots. 10 plots, right? And if the 10 plots, he's even getting it for 200,000 cedis. If you convert that, it's less than $20,000. It still doesn't buy land at East Legon Hills, but he's done a fully solar powered washing bay, which is generating business for him. He has a house that he lives on. So he first built a 1 bedroom, like I said. Then later, when he got more money, he built a 2 bedroom and used the 1 bedroom for like an Airbnb. You understand? So there are opportunities. We just have this, mindset that my house must be in the middle of town and my house must look like this.
I think I totally side with you, right? From the beginning, it was like I was about to attack you, but I totally side with you, right? But then again, I believe that the government has a very big role to play
Definitely.
in like um, extending urbanization beyond like Accra,
You know,
right? Because if the facilities are there, right, it doesn't really stop you from wanting to build there and settling there. So I totally get you. But I would ask you another question.
sure.
If you were to build anywhere,
hmm
right, in Ghana, which town in Ghana would you want to build in?
I'll probably want to go to the Volta region, Ho.
Why?
So, Ho is a very significant town in Ghana. It has historical significance. Apart from that, it also has a lot of hills, mountains, and I like nature, right? So when you see those hills and mountains, one, it's away from the city center. Two, food is very cheap, relatively cheaper than in Accra.
Obviously,
Three, the quality of air that you are breathing is way better than the polluted
a
air in
thousand
Accra.
times better.
Four, the people are very welcoming. Five, there are still opportunities because it's underdeveloped,
Yeah, yeah.
right? There's an airport that is not in use. So it means that there's opportunity. There are businesses that are not, you can't find over there. It means there's opportunity for tourism. Like there are mountains in the Volta region, there are waterfalls, there are so many things that
Natural
people travel
resources.
all the way from different countries in the world to come and look at.
Yeah.
Right? So it means that there's a lot of opportunity. And so, one, today the land is very cheap. And two, if you buy a lot of land. In 10 years, you are rich. Right. So those are some of the reasons why I would want to live as far away as, and it's not so far as close to Akosombo. If you want to go and chill with your significant other, it's not too far. It's also not too far from the border that if you want to transact and do economic activities, you can't do. Right. I think it's very well situated. And then there's also it's close to these how do Ada places, right,
Yeah,
where you can
that's
go and
true.
so it's significantly positioned
Yeah. The way he sold Hood to me is like, to I'm just making a card there to go and scout for
straight.
a land because it's almost like I've never heard you've spoken it to me like in such a way that I've never like seen whole,
Yeah,
right? So I think there's something that we could also do how we are able to tell the stories of the different towns
yeah,
in Ghana. Because anytime anybody travels to Ghana, it's a crack, crack, crack,
yeah.
crack, crack, and it don't go beyond that. But it's how we tell the stories
It's how we tell the stories.
of the
Yeah,
different cities that we have. So is this what you do on like on a full base, like wholly? Is this what you do?
not at all.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about your background.
Wow.
Yeah.
So my background is banking.
Okay.
I've been in banking for close to 14 years. And I'm also a technology enthusiast.
Okay.
So I've also
Nice.
been in tech. And so I kind of combine the two. Right now, I lead innovation in one of the biggest banks in Ghana. So tech is my passion, banking is my profession, and I combine the two. And I've worked in different banks, right? Leading
You see the way
tech and
humility
all
is
that,
talking.
right?
Oh, I've done this and I've done humility. Oh. I just wanted to mention the bank, but I'll mention. So it's fine. Let's go for it.
And apart from that, I also do the real estate stuff, right? So we help people who are looking to build, buy, rent in Ghana. And we also do content creation, right? So we have ABH Media that has Africa Building Hub and then 30 seats.
30 seeds. What
Yeah.
does 30
30
seeds do?
seeds looks at creating seeds of finance, tech, and real estate. So every day we sow a seed in the lives of people, which is content, and we empower people through financial knowledge, which I'm really good at, technology,
Which
which
you're
I'm
really
also
good
very good
at.
at, and real estate,
Okay.
which I'm also good
That's
at.
really good at. That's
Yeah.
really nice. Okay, so what made you decide to start your journey in real estate? Because you said that you have your background in finance. I'm
Yeah.
assuming you went to school and then you did like your master's in finance or
Not
bachelor's.
necessarily. Yeah. It's a very interesting conversation.
Okay,
So
so let's have that
growing up, I wanted to
conversation.
be a doctor.
All right.
But when I went to the university, I was doing biological sciences, and all of a sudden I realized I'm very squeamish when I see blood, and I just lost the entire interest. So I said, I need to find something to do. Like, I'm stuck at this point in my life. I need to find something that I can graduate with a good degree and sort myself out. So after university, I was just applying for tech related stuff because I banking was not part of the things I wanted to do at all. And at that time in Ghana, the tech ecosystem wasn't very solid as
Yeah,
it
it
is
wasn't
today.
very vibrant.
There weren't a lot of opportunities and all that, right? And I worked somewhere for like 3 months. I wasn't getting paid. The CEO was always being chased by police and stuff. I
Hey.
quit.
Okay.
It's a story for another day.
Yeah, obviously.
And so I went round and round and round. Later, I wanted to become a lawyer because my dad was a lawyer, and none of his kids picked up the law. Wanted to try that as well, but I didn't get into law school. Maybe one day I'll apply again.
Okay. We'll do it
And then at
again.
that time, I got the opportunity to work in a bank, which I totally disdained when I was younger. And Ghana is hard.
Yeah,
Man must survive.
of course.
And so I took it, working in the branch and all that. But I quickly rose through the ranks and then joined the technology wing of the bank,
Okay.
which is like one of the biggest banks in Africa. And
It moved from Ghana, right? One of the biggest banks in Ghana. So yes, I get an idea. Let's go.
and I helped build some of the like digital solutions within the bank,
Okay.
which brought a lot of financial inclusion and stuff within
Okay.
Ghana and Africa, right?
Beautiful.
And moving into my real estate experience, as a young man who is growing up, I think if you ask any 10 people you meet on the street who are young, right? If they get money, what are the first three things they would do? Or one of them would be a house,
Okay.
right? We've
Yeah.
actually done that kind of survey. If you ask 1,000 Ghanaians, top three priorities, if you get $1 million, one
Yeah.
will be a house.
Yeah.
And so everybody wants to have a house of
Yeah.
their own.
Absolutely.
And I set off to buy land because land is where you start. You can't build in the sea, though technically you can build on water, but we bought land. And as a very young guy who was taking care of my family and all that, I couldn't pay upfront. So I was paying in installments for
For
like
the
2 years or something. Yeah.
For the land. Okay.
And then after that, when we're ready to go and develop it, we had a very nasty experience where the chiefs of the area came
That's
to
a
stop
conversation we
us
have
and
to
all that.
have, right? That's a conversation we have to have, but let's move on to that.
So I lost like $20,000, close to
Wow.
$30,000 on that parcel of land. And it was a very terrible experience. So I didn't want anybody to go through that experience. And so we set out to create Africa Building Hub to educate people to avoid these kind of experiences and more. Right. And that's how the whole Africa Building Hub concept started.
That's a very beautiful story. That's a very beautiful story, right? So, when you started with African Building Hub, and then as you've interacted with a lot of young people that want to build or are building, what was one of the silliest mistake, right, that you've actually witnessed someone do in their quest to build in Ghana or yes, in Ghana?
I can give you a number of them. There are some you would totally not agree, but I feel one of it has to do with like the kind of design choices people make when it comes to building.
Do we design?
Okay, so let me let
Do
me
we
let me
design houses in Ghana? Like people just build like the amazing builds, right? Just go there and then just start the ground and just start building. I'll tell you a funny story, right?
tell
I
me.
was my uncle and then he had gotten this land and I was in his car and we got there do you believe this man drew the house on the ground? He was like, okay, so this is the land,
I'm
right?
telling
He
you,
just picked, he just picked like a random stick line somewhere. Was like,
started
this is
drawing the
it.
thing.
So the bedroom is here, the
That's crazy.
kitchen is here.
A lot of people do that, right? A lot of people do that. So what I've seen is many people don't like to use the experts like architects and
Yes,
stuff like
yeah.
because they feel they're expensive. Already the building project seems expensive and unattainable. So instead of using the architects, they plan everything in their head. And then the mason needs to understand what their vision is and build it for them. And usually what ends up being the final product is different from what they started out with.
Of course.
And so many people get stuck when they start the building project because, like you want a 3-bedroom house with your nice lawn and your stuff, but they don't even know how much it's going to cost them.
We
So you have the
start.
building in your
Yeah.
head, but you don't know how much it's going to cost you. But if you had your architectural drawings, then a quantity surveyor could give you like a bill of quantities, and then you would know how much it's going to cost you.
That's true.
But a lot of people don't do so. And a lot of people want to build their dream house from the first attempt, right? Instead of building what they can afford. It's like my dream car is probably a Mercedes. What's the most expensive Mercedes? That's my dream car. But you see, I can't afford it. And with cars, you can't buy spare parts like the components and arrange it. Else people would be doing so.
Yeah.
But when it comes to houses, because you can buy blocks and buy cement and stuff, his dream house is a 5-bedroom house. So he sets off to build a 5-bedroom house. But his budget, his salary, his income should be for a 1-bedroom house. And so many people get stuck along the line. But I was talking about design choices. People should not be building and painting their houses green.
Why?
How can you paint your house green
Why? Why
with a
can't you?
red roof
Why can't you paint your house green? It's like a Christmas
and brown
tree.
doors? Like how?
It look like a
You'll be looking
Christmas
like
tree.
political parties and all these things. No, color choices. Like sometimes you see the designs that people have done and Charlie, you get headaches. Because it doesn't even encourage or inspire creativity or the ability to meditate and even have good sleep. And in Ghana, you shouldn't paint your house white.
Why?
Because Ghana is a dusty
Dusty.
country.
Yeah.
But everybody wants to paint their house white and Charlie, they've gotten victory over their enemies and all these things. But when it rains, then you see that the dust lines begin to draw on the houses.
Yeah.
And you'll be doing a lot of painting and painting and painting. When I say this, people don't understand. You are going to spend a lot of money. Like whenever you build a house, it's not the end. If the house costs you $100,000 every year, you need to allocate about 5 to 10% of that $100,000 for renovation, maintenance, and stuff. And if your house is white, you have kids touching the walls and stuff. Do gray, do other colors. White in Ghana is dangerous. Green, don't try. How can you do green?
Green with a red roof. Like I'm just
And
imagining, I'm
brown
like,
doors and black gates. What
yeah.
kind of house is this? I did a video on Instagram and people were bashing me that why no, I should fix my teeth and stop talking about people's house choices. And somebody gave a very interesting comment and said the only greenhouse in their neighborhood is what they use to direct people. That way, can you see this greenhouse? Because it's odd. And then from the greenhouse, count maybe 3 houses and you're at my house. So the design choices are very interesting. And when it comes to design, we can talk about plenty things. Like in Ghana, open kitchen concepts like where we are don't work.
It doesn't work. Of course, with all that Bitcoin, it doesn't
The
work.
Momone, the Kobe and things. Meanwhile, a lot of the developers want to build open kitchen concepts because it saves a lot of money.
But I feel like that's just blind copying from like this
Yeah,
whole Western culture.
exactly.
We are pounding fufu, we are doing palm nut soup. Unless you would have to have like a backyard kitchen or something where you go into your palm nut soup over there. When you're done, you come and
Can you
eat
imagine
it
people
there.
pound fufu in like apartments and you are sitting and
Yeah,
somebody is
it's
pounding
pounding
fufu
fufu
on
on
your
top
head?
of here. Yeah.
And another thing that I see with design is people putting washing machines in the kitchen. How do you put a washing machine in a kitchen in Ghana? You do it in London because when you go to London, the rooms are very small. The space like very cramped. Then you're
Yeah.
paying £1,500, £2,000 a month. So you don't have the luxury of having a laundry room or extra space. But not in Ghana. How do you put a washing machine in a kitchen? I just don't get it.
I've seen it before too. I've
Oh, I
seen
see
it.
it everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I was trying to calculate in my mind, but I was like, I don't have the brain to even think about this right now.
yeah.
Okay. And then what's the next one? So there's the design choices, and the next one will be what?
The first one actually was the fact that they don't plan properly,
Yeah,
so they
they don't
don't go
plan.
for the experts, then they get stuck because
Yeah.
they
You
don't
see a
count the
lot of
cost
like,
of putting up the building.
exactly. You see a lot of story buildings that always just hang and the
Yeah,
person
they are
can't
never
continue.
completed.
Yeah.
Never completed. And again, once you have your dream house concept and it's taking you a longer time to build, I usually tell the people in my community that don't build a house that will take you more than 3 to 5 years to complete.
Okay.
Because if your house is taking you 16 years, a lot can happen in 16 years, right? Your health, your financial situation, and all that, right? So try to start something you can finish quickly, especially the people in the diaspora. Many of them leave Ghana, they even sell their houses. The first house I built, I bought it from a friend who was building for himself. But I said, no, Charlie, the country is it's not given, right? So they want to move. So he sold the house to me, used all the money to get a visa and travel to the US to work as a caregiver. Then he's now getting money to come and build a new house. And it's going to take him maybe 10 years to complete. You need to get a caretaker so that encroachers don't come and take over. Then the caretaker is the real owner of the house. Because this guy is not paying rent. I have people in my community who are from the diaspora who are building. Their caretakers have married, given birth. Their children have grown, are also marrying and giving birth. It's going to be almost impossible for you to come back to that house and live in it. Because these guys have assumed ownership. Even if they've not assumed ownership, can you come and sack someone who is giving birth? When you were living, he was single. Now he has like 5 kids. Where is he going to? So try to build something you can complete quickly. That is another mistake a lot of people are making.
Guys, you should be paying for this. So you should be paying for this. This podcast is premium. You have to pay to watch the full episode. All right. So when you were talking about the fact that when you started your first building, right, the land became a whole issue. How do we solve that issue of people or landowners selling their lands to like 3 or 4 people? Is there ever going to be a solution with this?
I think we can combat this issue properly when the state institutions that we have appointed and given the mandate to, document who owns land work properly. In
Okay.
Ghana, it's the Lands Commission. The Lands Commission is supposed to have a digital system where I can sit in Europe. I want to move to Ghana. Somebody is advertising a portion of land. I can just put the title in an app or website and see the history. Who owns it? What does he look like? All these things. Is there litigation on it? Like, it should be that simple. In
Is it is
Ghana,
this something is this something that is being done elsewhere?
everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yes,
Okay, cool.
right. Not a lot of countries in Africa, but there are some countries piloting it. Even in Ghana, they said they are piloting it, but it's taking so long. If this whole digital system works, it would reduce the incidence of corruption, multiple sales of land, etc. Because if I come to a location and I want to buy, I can just stand there and then like the way Uber apps and these ride-hailing apps
Yeah.
can use your location to give you a service. You stand there, you go into the app, it should be able to pick where you are and tell you that this land belongs to this person. Simple. This land, there's litigation on it. You move. Then I would not go there because in my case, I tried to do everything possible. I told you my dad was a lawyer. So when I started this, I went to him and said, I want to buy a portion of land. He gave me all the law terms and the legal terms to says buyer beware, like caveat emptor. That's what it means in legal slang, right? And the duty is on the person who is buying the land. So That is what it is. The duty is on you to make sure that everything is right.
Wait. If I go to someone and the person has sold their land to three other people and they're selling it to me and there's an issue,
You need to make sure that you have done everything possible
so don't arrest the
before.
person.
Oh, they'll arrest, but you should have done your part. Should have done your due
Wow.
diligence.
But this just like would propagate this issue just going on because
Exactly.
it wouldn't, the person
So that's why
doesn't
I'm
care.
saying let's have a digital solution where you stand somewhere or someone sends you their land title certificate. You just input it and you get the results. You get a history. Simple. But today we haven't documented all these things. So you need to go to Lands Commission, and even the inefficiencies in the system is like when you're applying for a passport or something in Ghana, something that you can get in a day, they will tell you come back in 6 months or 1 year. Meanwhile, land today, there's a lot of interest and demand around it, right? So the person will not wait for 6 months before they sell it to you. They'll sell it to the next person who comes. So people are usually in that kind of urgent mode to pay quickly to secure the land. And the state institutions, a lot of them, have been set up such that it promotes corruption. You need to pay facilitation fees and
Exactly.
get guru boys and things like
Exactly.
that to make the thing work.
Exactly.
If you decide to go through the proper system, it will take you a long time.
That's so true.
But if we digitize or digitalize the system, it will get rid of all these guys, all these middlemen, and I get access to the data that I want
I mean, a lot of
immediately.
people want to do the right thing, right? Even something as simple as building permits, etc. A lot of people want to do the right thing, but the wastage of time
Yeah,
in doing the right thing, sometimes it just doesn't make sense,
yeah,
right? And you just want to just do what you have to do and just get out of it, because at the end of the day you are doing the right thing, but then you even have to now, like what you said, facilitation fee,
yeah,
ridiculous. Like you have to like pay someone to move it along and all those things. It's just can be so stressful. So sometimes all this stress just make people just do it
yeah. And
by
then
heart.
they
And if
find
the issue,
themselves.
yeah, if the issue comes, they'll figure it out, right?
True.
But then again, what has been one of like the biggest challenge that you faced in your journey with ABH?
I think ABH has been a blessing. Thinking of challenges, I can hardly think of any. Like, since we started, the feedback from the community has been incredible. Right. We've grown so quickly because people trust us. We've been like an open book. We made everything transparent. For example, people want to build. A lot of people are in the diaspora. They are sending monies down to caretakers and family members to build for them. But the issue of trust, etc., right?
Yeah,
Today, a bag of cement is 120. I'm saying it on the video for anybody who is watching.
yeah.
And one thing that we decided to do was we are going to let people know the prices of the most commonly used building materials every month, sometimes multiple times in a month, because it tends to fluctuate in Ghana. And so again, it removes the whole, you know, covering. It makes it transparent to everybody. That if I'm sending you money, you sent me an invoice for 1,000 bags of cement. This is how much it should be, not what you are telling me. Right. So my challenge may be that people don't like me. Those people who were getting to rip off people don't like me. I got to know this because there was a time I got a call from one developer that I need to go and update the prices of the building materials. Because, like, let's say in January I done the video, but maybe in February I was so busy I couldn't get the video out. And in February the prices increased. But because I was busy, I couldn't get the video out. The clients were insisting that no, they watched Africa Building Hub,
Yep. And this is a
and
cost.
Africa Building Hub said this is the price, so we are not paying you a penny more. Meanwhile, the prices are truly increased. So people are using our videos to actually like compare with what the artisans and the developers give them. And so right now we've become like so influential that if we don't update the prices, it's causing issues for other companies.
Age. Wow, that's serious.
That's very serious. So there's that kind of burden on us to always get the right data for people, the right prices. And so our team has to also expand to cover different areas because sometimes the price of sand in Accra could be 3,000 cedis per truck,
But it could be
but
a different
in
price
Kofori,
as
there's
well.
5,000 cedis. And so we need to also get data from different places. Else, it creates a lot of issues for people, and that's the feedback we've gotten.
Okay, so if somebody is in the US or in the UK or in any Western country and they want to build in Ghana, what are the tips that you give to that person not to be duped or yeah, not to be duped because I'm
Yeah,
sure that there are a lot of people that like bring money and then
yeah,
there's nothing to show for it
yeah.
after like a couple of
True,
months or a
true,
year.
true. And building is also very expensive, so the monies involved are usually very high. So if you get duped, could be your entire life savings, your entire investment, and the impact or the consequences, repercussions are very great.
Okay.
Right. For me, when I'm talking to the people in the diaspora, I do a lot of consultation sessions as well, right? What I've observed is that their realities are a bit different from what we have in Ghana, and their expectations are different from the situation on the ground. So
What do you
they
mean
have
by
a
that?
system that works in the UK and in the US. Things work. For example, we just spoke about the state institutions and the way they behave in Ghana. Very
Yeah,
funny.
very funny.
In the US, things work. It doesn't mean there isn't like a certain degree of fraud or scammers, etc.
But
But it's
on a
very low,
larger scale,
and
it
the system
works.
doesn't enable it.
Yeah.
And so they expect that in Ghana, when they come, the things should be the same. But they are two completely opposite realities. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
When people want to invest in Ghana, many a times they go for like the developers who are putting up projects. These developers may tell them that we'll complete this project in, let's say, 6 months. The people who don't know Ghana expect that 6 months is 6 months. But in Ghana, if somebody is telling you that, oh, let's meet at 12, they are probably thinking between 12 to 1. So usually in Ghana, we even say, oh, let's meet between
12
12,
to 1.
12:30 or 1, like 12, 12:30. You understand?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And the white person or the person come from the diaspora, black American person, will arrive at 12. Then the Ghanaian is leaving the house at 12. We'll get there at 12:31. So those are some of the realities that they don't know. And so when they come, there are cultural shocks. And so for me, there are certain L's, 4 L's, not like losses, but 4 L's that I've coined when I do like consultation sessions. The first one is to understand the language of the people. That talks about the realities. The language is not like tree in Ghana and stuff, but the language is if an artisan is telling you that the price of cement is this, what does it mean? Is he adding something to it, or this is what it is? If an artisan is telling you that per day, this is how much he charges, what does it mean? You need to understand the language. Because masons have their language, carpenters tend to be like tailors and dressmakers, they will disappoint you, right? You need to understand that kind of language. And that's the kind of thing that we make very transparent on our YouTube and stuff. You would understand. Understand that if you're applying for a permit, it can take you a year. So what do you need to do? Understand that if you are buying land in Ghana, it could be sold to 10 different people.
What do you do?
Understand the language of the place that you want to live in. So it's key. Understand that you could buy the land legitimately and all that, but there are things called land guards. Understand that even if there are no land guards, there are things called family members who would say, my brother sold you this land, but he didn't tell us, so we didn't benefit. So can you also give us something? And every week they'll come to your building site for something. Understand that some people will come and say, we are taking digging fees. Though you've bought the land, you've registered it and all
What's a
that, we don't
digging
care.
fee?
Digging fees, we are, let's say, the cultural people who live here. The land belongs to our ancestors. Before you dig, you are going to disturb our ancestors that we've buried. And so you need to pay a certain fee for us to go and pacify them.
What?
Yes. So you'd hire your excavator, you think you are working, they'll come and stop you and seize the tools. Come and pay digging fees so that we can pacify the ancestors.
Okay.
So you need to understand the language. Really important.
Now, what can you do? Like, okay.
Watch our
So,
videos, we would explain everything.
so basically, like, you can't do anything about it, right? Because the people would come.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, should I just buy a house?
Even if you are buying, like I said, understand that when someone is selling you the house, what are the conditions around it? Right. And there's something called off plan. Like, you give me the money, I promise you I'll build a house for you by this date. That's off plan. Understand that the date could change. Understand that there are many factors that would affect you. There are many things you need to understand. We can't go through all in this video. They should also come and watch our videos.
Obviously.
They would understand.
Yeah. What ABH, right?
Yeah, Africa
The
Building Hub.
African Building Hub on
On
YouTube.
YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Right. So there's a language that you need to understand. Then there's location. Understand that Ghana is as expensive as US. Yeah, many people who
That's a
come to Ghana,
truth.
right, and they see that lands at cantonments are selling for $1 million, they can't comprehend that. How can a place in Ghana sell for $1 million? Because Ghana roads are terrible and there's
The services are bad,
whatever.
utilities are
And then they
underdeveloped.
will tell you, I can use $1 million to buy a house in California. But you should know that the same way California is important to you, cantonment is also very important to us. And location, like, determines everything in real estate. So the same way you want to live in a prime area like this, it's the same way 1 million other people want to live here. And so it creates a strong demand for the location. And once there's increased demand, the seller can charge a premium. And that's why places in Ghana like East Legon Hills, we don't make sense. Like, East Legon Hills is next to Ashaiman, but it is branded. And because of the branding, a lot of people want to live there.
Yeah.
And because a lot of people want to live there, the price has gone up. Just add hills to anything, and the price increases.
I'm in the way, yeah. So
Abokobi Hills,
the
Kaswa Hills, Kwabenya Hills. Everybody is adding hills now. Even where the place is flat like this, they call it hills.
I'm like, why is this place called a hill? Because I can't see anything.
You add hills now, Charlie. Atomic hills, like straight.
Kaswa Hills.
The value increases times 10. You understand? So it's kind of branded. So you need to understand the location dynamics in Ghana. That's really important. And then the third one is legal. Understand the legal things that you need to do when you are building in Ghana, which may be different from other places. You are acquiring land, the legalities around it. You, after acquiring it, getting a permit, like the documentation, all these things. Very important. Even when you are building, like, there are so many legal things you need to be aware of. For example, there was recently a debate about if you let a caretaker live in your house for more than 12 years, the caretaker can become the owner of the house.
I heard that.
Right. Is it true or not? Understand the legal things.
Okay.
If you buy land and you don't develop it for a period, the person who sold it to you can come back for it.
Wow.
And sell it to another person, and you take the person's court and nothing will happen. Understand it. Get a legal person to assist you. Come for consultation, we'll assist you. But understand it all. If you don't, you'll be frustrated. So the fourth L is the land itself, right? Land is not just the physical land you see. The land and everything on it, including minerals and water bodies. Understand that you can buy land and there's gold on it and it doesn't belong to you again.
Really? Who does it belong to?
It belongs to the states.
Okay.
Any mineral that's discovered on your land, the land doesn't belong to you again. And
Will they
Ghana
give me
is
my money
rich
back?
in minerals. Yeah, they will compensate you.
Okay.
Understand that where you are buying your land could affect you in future.
Wow.
Right, let me give you an example. I don't know if you know Pokwase and so on. Have you used that road?
Yes, I do.
Anytime recently?
Yeah.
So there's a road expansion that's ongoing.
Yes.
People were living where the road is today. They had hotels, they had homes, they had businesses. People want in Ghana to live by the roadside. all those houses were demolished.
Yeah.
So where your land is situated is really important. There are places that are known for litigation. Do you want to buy land in those areas? Again, in certain regions right now, we are having issues of galamsey and illegal mining and stuff. If they identify there's gold on your land, they can come and move you by force. Sell it to them or they come and break your house. So understand the land dynamics, understand the future value of land. I used to tell people a lot 2 years ago that they should invest in Kumasi because one, Accra is overpriced, Accra is overhyped, Accra is oversaturated. Kumasi was going to be the next hotspot. How did I know this? I was reading the news. I knew there was plans for an international airport to convert the existing Kumasi airport into an international airport. What does that mean? That means that now, if people are coming to Ghana, they don't need to stay in
Land in
Accra,
Yeah.
straight to Kumasi. And so it's going to create a business environment in Kumasi. And lands were cheap there, around the airport. You know, outside Ghana, nobody wants to live close to the airport because it's noisy and all that. Nobody wants to buy land in the airport in London and stuff, Heathrow and stuff. But in Ghana, the land close to the airport is the most expensive.
Yeah. As to why, I don't know why.
I think the diasporans are the ones who caused it. You know, many a times the oil companies and those international companies, the Talos and the multinational companies, when they moved to Ghana, they kind of like housed or accommodated their employees around the airport.
Yeah.
Cantonments, Laboni, those areas, Osu, right, in the 80s and 90s. And so wherever these people are, there's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so other businesses move in. People create hotels, restaurants where they can come and eat and all those things. A lot of apartments like where we are in rise around them because that's where they want to live. That's the
Yeah.
kind of life they are used to.
Yeah.
And so it tends to generally make the value of the place
Go
increase.
higher.
Right. And apart from that, sometimes when the foreigners are coming into Africa, they're a bit scared that Africa is not very
Yeah.
stable.
If anything, it just
War can happen
they
at
go
any
to the
point in time.
airport.
And there used to be history of coup d'etats and stuff in
Yeah.
a lot of African countries. And it causes a lot of economic instability. So a lot of people, when they are working, they are carrying big bags at their back.
Yeah.
Big bags. Everything is inside their shoe, their dress, everything. If they hear PIM, they are
Yeah.
the airport,
Yeah.
they are gone. So they don't really want to live outside of the
The airport areas.
yes. Now things have changed. Ghana is relatively stable, has been so for at least 30 years. But that mindset and the fact that the
The areas are
foreigners live in these
developed.
areas have given value to it. And that's how it's going to continue. And so I was telling people, move to Kumasi. That's why I also like Ho. It's an airport there.
Yeah.
The government will come and say, let's make it an international airport.
Yeah.
I'm there. I've bought maybe 1,000 plots of land. I'm a billionaire. I don't need to work again.
Yeah.
You understand? So that's how I look at some of these things.
I mean, it's been such an interesting conversation with Frank. Like, I've learned so much, right? So we are wrapping up our conversation, and before we wrap up the conversation, I'd like you to give us another tip. So let's say that's me, young girl, very very young girl, 21 years, young girl. I'm building and I'm stuck, right? I followed your advice. I got into my savings. I was able to save something for a land. I got the land, no litigation, no issue, right? And then I started building and I'm stuck at a point. What do I do at that point to make sure that my building is completed and it's come to fruition?
And you are stuck because of finances or
Yeah.
you're stuck?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not because I traveled anything, because of finances. What do I
That's
do?
a really tough question, but I see a lot of people who are in that kind of situation, right? Like literally every week we get this kind of email or DM saying that they are stuck and they need assistance. First of all, if you follow my advice, you'll not get stuck.
Okay.
Because I'll tell you build what you can finish and move in.
Yes. Yeah.
So if it is a wooden house, build it and move in. When you get enough money, you can build your dream house.
Yeah.
We had a lady. It was a very sad case. She sent us a DM on Instagram and she said she's heavily pregnant. She lives in a family house. She has a land somewhere around Amasama and she's building it. It's incomplete or incomplete. She desperately wants to move out of her family house because of whatever reasons, like maybe she's having issues, and she wants to go and live in the incomplete build. So, what advice would we give her? Because her she's run out of cash, and she's also pregnant, right? And we use this for one episode of our live session on YouTube, and the feedback we got was serious. In fact, we sent the feedback to the lady. She was crying and she was very emotional and all that. What I would say is if anybody finds themselves in that kind of situation, there are many things you can do. One, if your land is big, you can sell off a portion to get liquid cash and use it to complete. Two, if you have already started and you've done, maybe you intended to build a story building and you've done the ground floor and you don't have enough money to continue, try to finish the ground floor and move in. Right? Three, you could sell out the house and go and rent. There's no shame in that. Right? So that you get money to live. It's really important. Four, you could go for a soft loan and use it to finish, and then you can pay back. But when you're going for a loan, don't go for a dollar denominated loan if you earn in cities. Because just this week, I was talking to someone who bought a 2-bedroom property, semi-detached at Lakeside Estates. And this person said he had paid 80% by himself. At 20%, he went for a loan, which was dollar denominated. 20%, or just 20%. He said he was paying 649 cedis a month in the space of 2 years. In the space of 2 years. Again, I'll say it. In the space of 2 years, 649 cedis became 3,000 plus. That's how terrible the exchange rate went. And this person is earning in cedis. This is like a 500 times increase, or like 500% increase, right? Because if it's 600 to 3,000, that's, yeah, 5 times. And his salary will not increase 5 times in 2 years
two
in Ghana.
years. Yeah.
It will not even increase 2 times in 2 years. So you want to avoid dollar denominated loans. If you can get friends and family to support you. Even me, when I was building my first house, there are times that, Charlie, you are hard pressed for cash at a very critical stage. You need some money, else you could, like, your building could be affected. I get friends to give me something, within a month or two, I'll pay off. Do you understand? So that's another option you could consider. You would be fine.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I want us to get into like rent and mortgage and like building, right? So that would be my very last question. Like
Ask me
in
also
Ghana,
about which country I'd like to live in Africa.
definitely we'll do that. So in Ghana, right? I mean, mortgage is not something we hear about, right? So can you like in the simplest term, right? What is mortgage and how is it different from renting?
So mortgage in simple finance language is you going for a loan for a house. Now, typically, it can be in the form of you go to a financial institution, you tell them you've seen this property that's developed, this is the value of the property, maybe 100,000. In Ghana, we tend to quote property in dollars. So you let me say $100,000. And so you want a loan for them to pay off to the developer so that you can move in, and then you would be paying them monthly installments with interest. That's what mortgage is.
Okay.
So it's a loan, but targeted at the housing market.
Okay. So if I understand you right, the financier, right, has paid off your house
You move in.
and then I move in
Yeah,
and then now
landlady.
I'm paying the financier with
Exactly.
interest. Okay.
That's Simple terms, what it is.
Okay. And the rent is the one that you know, right? You're
Yes.
paying your landlord or your landlady. Thank you so much. So, which country in Africa would you want to live in?
The mortgage and rent too, it's a whole debate on it, but we can move.
There's a whole debate on
Yeah,
it.
because some people feel it's better to rent than to go for mortgage. So
I felt
let's.
like it was okay. Mortgage is not common. I mean,
Oh, it is. Oh,
I'm just trying to say that in our household, like you hearing about mortgage, all the times I've heard about mortgages through like the movies I watch,
okay.
honestly, right? I've never had any conversation with a friend or a family that was centered around mortgage where maybe they are going for a mortgage. Nothing came up. It was always like
Mm,
renting or they are building their house,
okay.
right? So, what, but from what I understand, right, I felt like, oh, mortgage will be better, right? Because at the end of the day, it's like I'm paying rent. But if I'm
Yeah.
paying rent
At the end of the
and then
period, it
at the end of
belongs
the
to
period,
you.
it belongs to me. So I would rather want to go for mortgage. But what do you think though?
I agree with you. I prefer to go for a mortgage and then at the end of the period, I own the house. But another school of thought says it's better to rent because when you are paying the minimum, whatever you want to pay, you can decide to move at any time and you are not necessarily tied to any financial institution or whatever. Nobody's coming to claim your house. You can choose where you want to live at. Most mortgages, and the reason why you don't hear it a lot is houses in Ghana are expensive. And the amount that you would, when you go to the banks, they have like a mortgage calculator. You input your average salary, and then they'll tell you what you're eligible for.
Yeah.
So if my salary is 5,000 cedis and I go to any other banks, I'll probably be eligible for 80,000 cedis. 80,000 cedis will not buy any house in Ghana.
In Accra, at least per our conversation.
Yeah.
In
The
Accra.
houses in Accra are selling $170,000.
Do-
This it means that your salary must be like $50,000, $100,000 to be able to get average houses, 3 bedrooms.
$50,000 a month
Did I
or
say
like
fifty
in a
thousand
year.
dollars? 50,000 cedis, 100,000
50,000.
cedis
Okay.
to be able to afford those nice 3 bedroom houses you will see at East Legon Hills. How many people earn 100,000 cedis a month? So that's why you don't hear about it because the average Ghanaian earns 2,000 cedis, right?
Yeah.
And so people would rather prefer to rent because that rent they can pay 2,000, 2,000, or even 500, whatever, and then be building bit by bit. But the thing is, when you are renting, you are empowering someone else. And then the money is not yours. If you lived in the same house for 30 years and you are paying 2,000 cedis every month, in a year that's 24,000. In 10 years, that's 240,000. So in 3 years, that's about 720,000 cedis. In 30 years, right? That's 720. That could have built your house. You could also go for 720,000 cedis loan from the bank and build your own house and move in immediately. But you'd pay interest and the interest will probably end up almost double. But you have the house.
Yeah.
So you need to look at it. The person who doesn't want to live in one place or the person who wants to choose to live at a good place, because I can choose to rent at cantonments and be fine. I'll be close to work. I'll save money. You go and build or get a property at
Avery.
Kaswa and take 6 hours between going and coming to work. Your quality of life is affected.
Yeah.
So the person who is renting has a better quality of life than you and still has enough money to put into like treasury bills or other investments. So if all of us had 720,000, you decided to use yours to get a house.
Yeah.
I decided to rent. I have enough money to do business and other things with.
I get my profits and all.
I get my profits and all, and if the country is not given, I move out.
Okay. So
And you
those
are
are the
stuck. You don't have
two
any other money.
those are the two different school of thoughts
Yeah.
around renting and a
Yeah.
mortgage. They are all valid at the end of the day. But I mean, if mortgage was a thing and it was like attainable financially, I'll still opt for that anyway. All right, sure. So we are wrapping up our conversation. We are. It's been so much fun. I've learned so much. Thank
I've
you so
enjoyed
much.
sharing as well.
Really.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that our audience have also learned a lot, right? So Like I said, Frank is a founder for African Building Hub. You can find African Building Hub on Instagram, on YouTube. Basically, go on your social media, search for them, and there is so much wealth of knowledge and wisdom on that platform. And I promise you, in the next year, you'll be building.
Amen. Oh.
So, which country in Africa would you want to like build your house in or like settle in?
There are many great countries in Africa. Africa is a very
Really?
beautiful place. South Africa is amazing. Rwanda is doing so well with technology and all these things. Kenya is amazing. Egypt is also nice. Morocco is very beautiful. But one country that I would want to maybe spend the rest of my life in is Namibia.
Really?
I'm telling you.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
The whole time you were talking, I was like, he's about to see Tanzania. He's about to see Tanzania. Okay, why
I've
Namibia?
watched so many videos on Namibia. It's such a beautiful country. I mean, if the president or anyone is watching, they should come and take me away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Namibia is a really beautiful country.
Okay.
It's not overpopulated, like just a little portion of the country is populated. Their population is like less than 3 million or something, whereas Ghana, we are almost going to 40 million.
Oh, but we are still few. Nigeria is like 200 million at this point.
Yeah, so the population density is really
That's
good.
good.
Yeah, and apart from that, they have amazing like tourist attractions, right? You get to see nature at its best, and like I said, me, I'm a nature lover. There are these sand dunes which meet the sea.
I've seen
God,
that.
when you see the feeling,
I've seen
it's like
that.
an
It's like there's a
first,
sea and a
oh
desert
God,
meeting.
God. That view, whenever I look at it, I just want to go and lie in that sand and just,
Yeah.
even just looking at it from my TV screen or my phone screen, like the vibrations passing through my body, I can't wait to be there. Right. And the desert is beautiful. There are so many beautiful things. They've been able to keep their traditional, setup in like the accommodation spaces you can go and live in, and also have the urban ones. And they've really kept their country really nice.
That's
And it
nice.
has the longest like tarred road without potholes in Africa.
What does that even
The
mean?
longest stretch of road you can drive on. So there's over 700 to 1,000 kilometer road in Namibia without potholes. Do you know what that is?
What does that mean?
Accra to
Okay.
Kumasi is 243 kilometers.
Okay. And even now, and there's
See
thousand
how
potholes.
terrible the road is. This road has multiple lanes going, multiple lanes coming, close to 1,000 kilometers, like the whole of Ghana.
Wow.
No potholes.
It's like Ghana to the like Accra to the north,
And even moving
without
into Burkina Faso
without any
without
potholes.
potholes.
Wow.
Like I said, I've watched so many videos on Namibia that Charlie, they should come and take me and make me their ambassador.
I was about to say, I'm like, see, I'm sure this country is spending money on an ambassador like Ghana to them, and then we have you
Yeah,
free of charge,
I'm
President
telling
of
you.
Namibia. We are with you. All right, thank you so much. So, what are your last words?
Um, what I'd like to say is that the real estate or the building and construction industry in Ghana and Africa is changing. And I see we are kind of going back to the basics. We're going back to the past. If you look at how our buildings looked like, and let's say 80 years ago versus now, people are going back. Why do I say so? Around the 90s, 2000s, we started seeing these glazing windows and stuff. Now the conversation is around louver blades. Around the same period, we started seeing these cement buildings and blocks and stuff. People are looking for more affordable options all across Africa. People want bricks. People want clay houses and stuff. Those were the olden houses we came to meet. Just that we are using a lot of technology to make them nicer. And I think we should push for those. Else,
Really?
yes, housing will be almost like a dream that many people will not be able to attain in Ghana. Only like 30% of people build their own houses.
I've had a conversation like that. Someone was like, he doesn't think in this generation, like about 5% of this generation will be able to build their
Yeah,
own
because the
house.
prices are getting ridiculously high every month. The taxes on local things are so expensive. I went to a restaurant to eat last week. The By the time I came out, I paid almost 6,000 cedis to eat. And the taxes,
Really?
there was national health insurance levy on the food I went to eat. There was get fund on the food I went to eat. Get fund though, education. What has education got to do with food? There was COVID-19 levy on the food I went to eat. There was
Sorry,
VAT
sorry,
on the food.
sorry.
Like, I
Sorry,
don't
I'm laughing
understand.
so hard.
And all these things are making the prices of cement and other materials very expensive. And it's going to get worse. You understand? So if we move away from some of the imported things and start going back to the foundations, the basics, and still maintain proper structural integrity for the buildings we put up, it's going to be more affordable for everybody. And that's what I want to leave you with. And for Africa Building Hub, our goal is to empower people with this kind of knowledge.
So in the next 5 years, where do you see African Building Hub?
We want to be the people who are pushing the narrative and stories of Africa, right, in a positive light and empowering young people to build houses. Because when you are building a house, it's a story, not a story building. Like there's a story around it. And that story involves opportunities for artisans to come and get jobs, right? It involves people to have a place to work, lay their heads and stuff. Like a house is not just a house. A house is a full story. People are able to get money to take care of their families because they came to work on the site. Architects is creating like jobs in the economy and all that. And we want to be the ones pushing that story and helping people also to make it very easy for everybody to afford a house. And then fixing the issue of trust
Yeah.
when it comes to building.
Guys, it's been such an amazing. I know that you've learned so much because I've learned a lot. And we want to say a very big thank you to Mr. Frank for Africa Building Hub. So, like I said, if you want to get more of information like this, you can check them out on YouTube, African Building Hub, right? And on Instagram and any other platform that you may be on. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we hope to see you on our next episode. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Frank.
Thanks for having me. Cheers.
Bye, everyone.